Hello, welcome back to another episode. Westworld's focus is on outliers, mostly from its first season. Dolores Abernathy is an exception, seeking revenge on humanity. Maeve Millay was an outlier in her pursuit of self-discovery. Rehoboam's entire mission was to find and eliminate outliers from society since they constitute a threat to the continued existence of the human race. And today, even with the hosts in charge of mankind and the hosts patrolling New York City's streets like minor deities, the system still has faults. Still, some outliers manage to escape control by breaking their threads like puppets. They are outliers who are able to peer between the curtains and into the actual backstage area to observe how they are being manipulated. The system is infected by outliers who disseminate their sanity to others in a manner similar to a sickness that can only be temporarily suppressed before resuming its full course. Basically, Charlotte Hale's host playground is infected with bedbugs, and nobody can advise her on how to get rid of them. And, as anyone who has dealt with an insect infestation will tell you, the most aggravating part is not so much when they emerge from under the sink as it is knowing they are there. Knowing they are doing whatever they want.
I won't be the only one who's concerned. You have a job to do here.
And knowing there is nothing you can do to control when and where they will appear. Hale may have the whole world under her control, but those little outliers are actually driving her nuts and the hosts she sends to hunt them down insane. What is real to a machine whose personality is made out of programming and lines of code? What is real to an automaton that has had their mind controlled and is trapped in a loop for their amusement? It should come as no surprise that any host who speaks to an outlier begins to act a little strange. And it should also come as no surprise that the majority of the outliers illustrated in Westworld so far have essentially been mentally ill homeless people, stereotypical figures in a glittering urban hellscape. Serac, unlike Charlotte, didn't frequently murder outliers. But he did go a bit crazy to keep them stomped down because he knew better than anybody the problems that they caused. Transcendence is the great prize for the host who stops the outlier in Hale's bug hunt. Transcendence is not entirely understood, but it appears to be something Hale believes the typical host should value. However, Hale soon learns that the hosts would much rather indulge in the pleasures of the flesh by having sex with people and making the most of their walled garden for all of eternity. William predicts that after a few centuries of messing about with people, they will lose their attraction. William is more aware than most of the attractiveness of playing games, both in the real world and in Delos parks. What else is there to anticipate from a group of beings made in the likeness of their hedonistic, aggressive, and petty creators? Who wants to give up everlasting celebration in order to truly transcend? Any Westworld episode involving scenes of Ed Harris discussing the nature of reality and free will with individuals is likely to be a good one. With his deep, dry voice and droll, slightly amused delivery, he can make any dialogue seem wonderful. He is acting like a cat.
Maybe it's time you question the nature of your own reality.
Playing with mice who are too stupid to realize they are mice in the presence of a cat while he is provoking the two people he sits down to supper with. It is expertly done. It's even better towards the conclusion of the episode when he is praising Hale and her kind for their efforts in making the world beautiful, orderly, and perfect while speaking to his iced human self. It makes sense that he would ponder his role in the universe, especially after debating whether or not he is the sum of his code and free will for the whole of the episode. William the human is content to watch himself suffer through a predicament, and is excited by the prospect of possibly inciting one of his jail's guards to rebel against the warden who holds all the keys while William the host is lost and adrift, looking for something to indicate whether or not he is as free in Hale's world as he believes he is. Wes Humphrey and Lisa Joy's script intensifies all that beautifully philosophical Westworld material. Nowhere is this more evident than when Ed Harris is arguing with Ed Harris about whether or not the host William is as genuine a person as the human William. The entire show has been about the search for meaning and about being a square peg in a round hole universe. That's the maze core, as human William said, isn't it? That transition from being only a host to being a real artificial intelligence is capable of overcoming programming and discovering actual awareness, whatever that means. Dolores and Maeve went on that journey, and they came up with radically divergent conclusions about what it meant to be human. There's a reason why Decoherence was probably my favorite episode of Westworld Season 3, but despite all the humor provided by several Ed Harris, the Christina, Teddy segment of the show also had plenty of head-screwing. Although it isn't nearly as dramatic as Williams or Hope's awakenings at the beginning of the episode, it is appropriate. Teddy was reprogrammed to fulfill a purpose rather than join her in sentience after Dolores attempted everything to alert him to the truth. Now, 30 or so years later, he is the one who introduces her to the outside world. and she is the one who finds it difficult to accept the information. Evan Rachel Wood's expression is wonderful as she sells first amazement, then disbelief at the discovery Teddy leads her to. James Marston and Wood have such great chemistry, even when they're at odds with one another. Craig William MacNeil does a good job of playing up our relationship with those two characters throughout the episode by weaving in recognizable tiny moments between the two of them. It's a nice, happy contrast to their terrible conclusion and vanishing point. As Stubbs and the Desert Rebels creep through New York City in search of the very same outlier that William has been ordered to murder, everyone is learning a variety of things that they shouldn't. Anytime the hosts use their power to halt everyone in their tracks, such as when the police are looking into the massacre at the beginning of the episode, Hale gets bored and breaks out in dance, or when everyone turns to assault the rebels looking for the outlier. I found those moments to be really disturbing, and MacNeil ensures this by adding small details like the pianist's bleeding, ragged fingernails, and the way everyone moves or freezes in unison while under the influence of the hosts. These tiny incidents only serve to highlight the unique circumstance that uncontrolled people and awakened hosts find themselves in. It is a genuine location populated by real people, but it is also entirely manufactured and run by hosts that simulate humans but aren't actually human in any physical sense, being caught in a cycle that was created by someone else with people acting like robots and robots acting like humans. The story is described by the maze, which is more than simply a metaphor. Thanks for watching. Comment below, and don't forget to subscribe.